Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Sport This Week video. And in this, I guess, week's video, we've got a little bit of cricket news, not much because some stuff been postponed. We've got some football news as normal, F1 Sakir Grand Prix or Bahrain Grand Prix, whatever you want to call it, and some boxing news and the end of the Autumn Nations Cup in rugby. But yeah, if you are new around here and you have not yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do indeed like the video. And let's get straight into it. So, we'll start off with the cricket because that has got the least amount of news this week. So, England did win 192 to 191. So, they won that test, the T20 test versus South Africa 3-0. And they were going to play some... I think it's one-day internationals, but they got called off because of Corona and all of that. But yeah, that's literally it for the cricket news because they did get called off. We'll go to the F1 now. So basically, more Corona-related news. Hamilton got ruled out because of Corona. So he got replaced by George Russell of Williams, and then. But yeah, I'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. Also, Haas signed Mazepin from for 2021 from like the F2. So you know, that would be interesting. They also signed Mick Schumacher, son of Michael Schumacher. If you don't know, a legend of the F1 game, F1 sport, I mean. And yeah, his son's now been signed for Haas for next season, so that would be interesting to see how he does. He's doing very well in F2 at the moment. I believe he might have just won the whole thing. I don't know. But yeah, so Ait Ken has been replaced, has replaced Russell for the race, and as he's just like a backup racer apparently. And then, so yeah, it was the Bahrain Grand Prix. Russell got driver of the day, but still only got 9th. Perez won, which is his first ever win, which, I mean, congratulations to him. It's nice to see somebody else on the podium. And there was no Mercedes on the podium for quite a while now. 2 Racing Point drivers on the podium. And Esteban Ocon, who got his first ever podium with a 2nd place finish. So yeah, I mean, it seemed to be going quite well for them. Stroll got 3rd. Bottas got 8th again. I believe that's 3 races in a row now. Not the best for him. Russell got 9th, which is his first ever F1 points. Congratulations, I guess. But could have probably done a bit better. In practicing, he was doing very well. But Verstappen didn't finish because of... so basically, there was a crash. And I believe Perez got out all right. I believe Latifi did crash. It wasn't a huge crash. And then Verstappen crashed into the rubble of Latifi's car, I believe. But Mercedes did get fined 20,000 euros for fitting the wrong tyres on Russell during the race, which I believe kind of cost him a bit. But I mean, yeah, so they've been fined 20,000 euros for it. But Russell's fine; he didn't get any kind of disqualification for using different tyres or anything like that. But that's the end of the F1 news. We'll move on to the boxing now. Not loads, but some big news. So Saunders beat Murray in a close bout. So he retains his WBO World Super Middleweight title. So congratulations to him. That's a big win for him, but it was very close. And then some big news. Floyd Mayweather will be fighting Logan Paul on the 20th of February next year. So basically, they've been going back and forth on Twitter for a while. And it's just come out, I believe yesterday, that, well, it depends when you're watching it really, that it is going to happen on the 20th of February. So that would be a very big fight. I mean, Floyd Mayweather's trying to retain his 50-0, trying to get 51-0. But Logan Paul is younger and taller and wanting to get his first professional boxing win in an exhibition fight. We'll move to the rugby now. So Fiji beat Georgia 38-24. Ireland won 31-16 versus Scotland. Wales won 38-18 versus Italy, and England won 22-19 after extra time in a really close game to become the winners of the Autumn Nations Cup. So huge congratulations to England doing it again, doing it in 6 nations, and now doing it in the Autumn Nations Cup. And yeah, I mean, it it seemed like a nice competition, and I believe it might be back next season, because I believe this might have been the first ever season of the Ultimate Nations Cup. So I mean, I enjoyed it. So yeah, now we move on to the last sport of the video, which is football. So there's normally quite a lot of stuff, and there is this time. So Fulham won 2-1 versus Leicester, which is Fulham's second win of the season, I believe. West Ham won 2-1 versus Villa. Shakhtar won 2-0 versus Real Madrid. And that's kind of the results at the moment. But there's some big news. It's interesting news. So when England leaves the EU, the Prem won't be able to sign any under-18s from abroad, which you might seem isn't really that big of a deal. But I mean, the average age of like good players nowadays are getting younger and younger, and we can't sign anybody until they get at least 18 now. So moving on, we've got Atletico drew 1-1 versus Bayern. Inter won 3-2 versus Mönchengladbach. Liverpool won 1-0 versus Ajax. Man City drew 0-0 versus Porto. PSG won 3-1 versus Man U. Barcelona won 3-0 versus Ferencvárosi. Juventus won 3-0 versus Dynamo Kiev. Chelsea won 4-0 versus Sevilla, with all goals coming from Giroud. Giroud. And I mean, he played amazingly. If you'd seen him in the game, he was just like, you say roll back the years. I mean, he's never really not been good, but for some reason he's never made it into the Arsenal or Chelsea side properly. And hopefully he is kind of cemented himself in somewhat of a way. Because, I mean, he deserves to be starting week in, week out. But, I mean, maybe he should leave, but I don't know if he will or not. Dortmund drew 1-1 versus Lazio. The Prem have agreed a 50 million deal with League 1 and League 2 clubs to give them like a package for for a few months, I think, or something like that. Which I mean is good, is definitely good. It's a step in the right direction. Obviously not quite as much as they probably would have hoped, but a good amount, definitely a good amount, and definitely needed. I mean, it probably would have been needed a bit earlier, because there has been a couple clubs which have gone under, and yeah, I mean, I guess it's better late than never, but Spurs drew 3-3 versus Lask. AC Milan won 4-2 versus Celtic. Arsenal won 4-1 versus Rapid Wien. AZ drew 1-1 versus Napoli. Man City drew 2-0 versus Fulham. Real Madrid won 1-0 versus Sevilla. Dortmund drew 1-1 versus Frankfurt. Man U won 3-1 versus West Ham with a controversial goal, I'll say. Bayern drew 3-3 versus RB Leipzig. Burnley drew 1-1 versus Everton. Chelsea won 3-1 versus Leeds. Crystal Palace won 5-1 versus West Brom. Yeah, as a West Brom fan, I'm not really that keen to talk about that much. Liverpool won 4-0 versus Wolves. Spurs won 2-0 versus Arsenal in the North London derby, a big game, and Spurs have gone back to the top of the table now after winning that game. And Leicester won 2-1 versus Sheffield United. And yeah, that is it for today's Sport This Week video. Not as many sports as normal, but not quite as much stuff's going on at the moment. There's no tennis at the moment, I believe. There's not really much NBA, big NBA news. And the UFC was a little bit, there wasn't much going on, but there will be some next week for the UFC. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you have enjoyed. If you are new around here and you have not yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you did indeed like the video. And thanks for watching.